Okay, we're live. All right, you have your quiz?
Yep, I've got it up.
Okay, cool. Question 1, consumer holds money to meet spending needs. This would be an example of measure of value, legal tender, demand for money, or asset demand for money. That would be
Transactions, demand for money, right?
yeah. Technically, it's also an example of legal tender, right? But
Consumer holds money to meet spending needs.
you're probably right about transactions. That's what
I
we
think
learned
it's transactions because it's to meet spending needs.
Okay, perfect. All right, number 2. A decrease in interest rate will cause an increase in transaction demand for money, a decrease in the transaction demand for money, decrease in the amount of money held as an asset, or an increase in the amount of money held as an asset. That would be a decrease in the amount of money held as an asset, right?
Yeah. I think it's also A though, right? Maybe not.
Actually, it might be an interest, because as the interest rate decreases, their opportunity cost of holding assets in money goes down, so they hold more, right?
Yes. A decrease in interest rate will cause.
Increase in the transactions demand.
I don't know, actually. So if the interest rate goes down, does that mean that the demand for transactions will go up or no?
I don't think so. I think that's related to GDP.
Okay.
But I think it does influence whether they hold it as an asset.
Okay. And you think it increases it?
Right, so the interest rate goes down,
Yeah.
meaning them putting their money in stuff, it doesn't earn them as much money back, so them keeping it doesn't have as big of an opportunity cost.
Okay. So D?
I think so.
Okay. It makes sense. I'll go with it.
There is an asset demand for money primarily because of which function? Legal tender, store value, measure value, or medium of exchange?
Store value, right?
Or the value of that. So. Okay. An increase in nominal GDP will increase the transaction demand and total demand for money, decrease the transaction demand and total demand for money, increase the transaction demand for money but decrease the total demand for money, or decrease the transaction demand for money but increase the total demand for money.
A, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, you can't increase one without the other, first of all. But
yeah, they both have to go together.
Okay, A works for me. All right, which line in the graph would best illustrate the asset demand for money for Earth? That would be the 1, right?
Yep. Rate of interest, small quantity of money demanded. Yeah.
That's kind of a weird thing. We've never done that before.
Yeah.
Okay. When the rate of interest falls, the asset demand for money decreases, the transaction demand for money increases, the total amount of money demanded increases, or the total amount of money demanded decreases. Interest rate falls. The
total amount of money demanded increases.
Increases, yeah, I think so. It's like when price falls, demand goes up. Because interest rate is just the price of money.
Yep, I think so.
That's how I'm trying to learn this. So it all fits together.
Yeah, it's an inverse relation. Yeah, it's a good way of remembering it.
Okay, in the cause-effect chain linking changes in the bank's excess reserves and the resulting changes in output and employment in the economy. A decrease in aggregate demand will increase output. An increase in the money supply will decrease the rate of interest. A decrease in excess reserves will increase the money supply, or a decrease in the rate of interest will decrease aggregate demand.
I think B, what we were just talking about, right? Increase money supply will decrease rate of interest.
Changes. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the, linking the bank's excess reserves and the resulting changes. And you said B, an increase
I think
money
so.
supply will decrease the rate of interest. Yeah, I think you're right. Decrease in excess reserve.
That question's worded really weirdly, though.
Weird, yeah, convoluted. Okay, the purpose of an expansionary monetary policy is to increase the GDP gap, the inflation rate, the real GDP, or interest rates.
Real GDP.
The inflation rate. Okay. What is one of the advantages of monetary policy over fiscal policy? It's control over the size of the federal budget deficits. The quickness with which it can be used, the opportunity for broad political influence, or it can guarantee expansion of aggregate demand when needed.
Monetary over.
Right? Because it's not about political influence, supposedly.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee expansion of aggregate demand.
No.
And nothing can control federal budget deficits.
So B, the quickness.
With the quickness.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, all the other ones don't make sense. So B.
So why not?
I wouldn't just think that off the top of my head, though.
Did you do the homework yet?
No, I have not.
There's a bunch of that question over and over again.
The same thing? Oh,
Yeah,
it just changed a
worded
little bit?
differently, yeah. It was like 2 or 3 of them. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
A newspaper headline reads, Fed cuts federal funds rate for 5th time this year. That's a really long headline. This headline indicates that Federal Reserve is most likely trying to reduce inflation in the economy, raise interest rates, ease monetary policy, or tighten monetary policy. And I'm unclear on the ease versus tighten. Like, I get it, but let me pull up my notes really quick so I'm not retarded here.
Well, if they're trying to cut the federal funds rate, they're trying to ease it, right?
So they're trying to cut the rate. Tighten would be restrictive, right? And ease would be expansionary.
For monetary. I don't know, actually.
I thought I wrote this down somewhere. I was confused on it and I didn't study it to the fullest extent.
Yeah, my first take on it was ease monetary policy.
I think that you're right.
Funds rate for 5th time this year. Yeah, I think they're easing it if they're cutting it down.
Okay. I think you're probably right. I'll go with it. Let's do it. Ease monetary policy. Okay. When the Fed wants to lower the federal funds rate, it increases the discount rate, increases the reserve ratio, buys bonds from banks and the public, or sells bonds to banks and the public.
They buy them from the public, right? Or no?
I'm actually confused on this one. So if they buy them from the public, they're increasing the amount of securities held. Oh, but they're expanding money. Okay.
Yeah.
I just explained that to myself. Sorry. I've been puzzling over the question all day.
Right? So they buy it to lower the rate.
Right, because they're they're creating money by doing that.
Which is weird.
I was confused.
That is
right?
I think weird.
I was confused because them selling them made sense to me for some reason because
I'm
so confused now. We're going with buying or selling?
I think buying when they want to lower it. Not, it's just weird.
I'm confused.
I don't really get how it works.
Because securities, they make the securities. So when they sell them, they're keeping that money though in the Fed, which doesn't help anyone, I don't think.
No.
So
when they buy them, it's putting it back.
They're pumping
It's giving money to people.
Right. So they're pumping money out for something they made in the first place, which is how that creates money. That's how I understand it, and I could be crazy. And for some reason, I thought I was crazy, but if we both think it's buying, let's go with buying.
Yeah, I think it is buying.
Okay. Okay. If the federal funds
It's just
rate,
a weird roundabout way.
I
It
know.
seems to me to lower the rates.
It confuses me a little bit more. Like I feel like if it were just a straightforward question, I would be fine. But I doubt myself all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's right.
Okay. All right. The federal funds rate increases, the prime interest rate will decrease. If the federal funds rate decreases, the prime interest rate will increase. If it increases, the prime interest rate will increase, or if it decreases, it will not change.
They go in the same direction, don't they?
Right. They follow each other.
Yeah.
So if it increases, then it will increase.
Yeah, that's the only one that lines up. Okay.
All right. 13. Answer the question based on the information given below. Okay, in the balance sheet above for the Federal Reserve, the assets would be items 5 and all other assets.
Yeah.
Securities,
Yeah.
right?
And the only one that has 6 is the last one. What's 4? Loans to commercial banks?
Loans to commercial, right, because they're claims against
that's
the
right.
commercial banks. Yeah, I think that's right. 4 and 6.
So D.
D.
It's weird how it gave us 5.
I know.
5 and which other one?
All other assets. Okay. The main tools that the Fed can use to alter the reserves of commercial banks are required reserve ratio and the following, except exchange rate, discount rate, interest on reserves for open market operations. That would be exchange rate, right?
I don't know. They do the discount rate and open market and interest, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exchange.
We did not cover exchange once in this material, so I'm assuming we're leaving that up.
Yeah.
Okay. The lending ability of commercial banks increases when the reserve ratio is raised. The Treasury collects tax revenues. The Fed sells securities. This question again. See, I told you over and over again, same question.
Just in a different way.
So it's basically buying or selling securities, which we went with buying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's the same question. It's just talking about them having more money to lend.
So buying again? Wait,
Yeah.
lending?
Raising the reserve ratio would lower their ability. Treasury collecting tax revenues is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's either buying or selling.
Well, they're able to lend more when they buy securities in the open market, right? If they sell securities, they lose the ability.
They sell securities, then they're paid for via their either their reserves, right? The Fed lowers their reserves, which lowers their ability to lend. So if they are buying the securities that the Feds are selling, but then that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it does. So if they're buying the securities that the Feds are selling, then their reserves are going down, their excess reserves, and their ability to lend goes down. But if the Fed buys securities, then they get credited reserves, or debited reserves, I should say, and then their excess reserves go up and their lending capacity goes up.
Okay.
Right? That's how it
Yes.
works out in my mind. But again, I'm confused by this question.
No, I think that's right. So when they buy, the commercial bank's ability to lend increases. When the Fed buys.
When the Fed buys.
Yeah? Or no?
I think so. I think it's D.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I think
be
it's
so
D
sad
too.
if I get this wrong.
I think it's right. I'll go with that.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
okay. 16. The fundamental objective of monetary policy is to assist the economy in achieving a rapid pace of economic growth, money supply which is based in gold standard, a full employment, non-inflationary level of output, or a balanced budget consistent with full employment. That would be C?
Yeah, I think it's C. A full employment, non-inflation. Yeah.
Seems like a reasonable target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Federal Reserve alters the amount of the nation's money supply by reducing the liabilities of the banking system, controlling the assets of the nation's largest banks, minting coins and printing currency that is distributed to banks, or manipulating the size of excess reserves held by commercial banks. D?
Federal Reserve alters. D?
D? I think it's D?
I think so.
Okay.
Manipulating the size of excess reserve. Yeah, I think it's D.
Well, let's go with it then.
Man, some of the, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay, if the Fed sells government securities to the general public in the open market, the Fed gives the securities to the public pays for securities by writing checks that, when cleared, will increase the commercial bank reserves at the Fed. No.
No, that's not. It's the opposite of that.
Opposite of the ending of that. The Fed gives the securities to the public pays for securities by writing checks that, when cleared, will decrease commercial reserves.
I think that's right. What are the other two?
The public gives securities to the Fed. No, the public doesn't give securities to the Fed. It's a Fed.
No.
Okay.
So it's B.
It's B, right?
Yeah.
Okay. B. Okay. The Fed can induce banks to increase their reserve holdings by increasing the discount rate, reducing the required reserve ratio, increasing the interest on reserves, or selling securities in the open market.
C, right?
That is C, yes. So those other ones don't make any sense.
Last one.
This one, oh, let's see, fun one. When the Fed lowered short-term interest rates to near zero, but the policy didn't seem to stimulate the economy enough, surprise, the Fed in 2009 also began conducting the policy of expansive buying of bonds known as ZERP QE, Operation Twist, or Zero Lower Bound.
So it's talking about two different things here, right?
Yes.
So the first one is zero interest rate policy when they neared it to zero.
Right.
And we're answering the second one.
Right, the expansive buying of bonds, which I don't know. Is it twist? I remember something about it.
I don't think it's C or D. I don't have any idea what those are, actually.
QE?
I think so. It's easing, right? If you buy bonds. Wait.
If you buy bonds, then yeah, that would be easing, right? Operation Twist was a stimulus. Oh, but they're all stimulus packages. Federal government.
I don't know what Operation Twist is.
I think it's like what goes hand in hand with ZERP. Like, if I remember that correctly. So I think it might be QE.
I think if they're buying bond, I don't know. It's not ZERP. ZERP is the first one. So I don't know what Operation Twist is. I don't really know what quantitative. I think it's B, but I don't know what the other two are.
It is also B. I think Operation Twist had to do with selling the bonds in the first place, or yeah, I think it had to do with selling the bonds in the first place. I think buying them up is the quantitative ease.
Okay.
But
try it.
Okay.
Do you know what zero lower bound is?
Yeah, so that's like when they reduce the interest rate to zero, there's nowhere for it to go. So like that's as low as it can go, because when it goes past zero, then you just lose your money by putting it in the banks. So it just basically means that it helps in a way, but in a way it doesn't, because it can't go any lower. So everyone's like,
yeah, you can't grow out of that.
Why would I do that? So
okay.
Yeah, that's what that means, sort of. Okay, let's submit this sucker. Let's see how that goes. Dude!
Went slow. Did we get 100?
Yeah, we did.
Sweet.
Wow, I'm kind of surprised.
Well, a lot of these had to do, like, it was the same question, just a little bit different, or they switched to the terms.
Yeah. Yeah, they did the same question multiple times for a couple of these.
Yeah. Some of them were easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go read about QE.
QE.
Twist.
Yeah. So that sounds great. I will post this.
Okay.
And we have one more week of our lovely sessions, don't we?
I'm so ready to be done with this semester.
No, dude. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Nothing personal, but this is a long semester for me.
Yeah, it is.
For some reason. I think that, we just have next week and that's it.
Okay. The last week is the exam, right?
Yeah.
The final?
Just the exam. So that's nice. We don't have to do a chapter and the exam like every other exam.
Yeah. My other class, during like the 150, during the exam week, that's all you have.
Yeah, well,
nice.
that's how it usually is with people. But for some reason, this semester, this class and my math class are doing that. Like my math class will be like, study these 3 chapters and then take the exam. And you're like, holy crap.
I'm not a fan of that.
No. Okay, well, thanks for showing up. We rock.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, see you next week.
All right, see you next week.